G'day, legends, and welcome to the Thursday Sesh by Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me tonight are Jared and Willie. How are you, Jared?
I'm doing all right. Bit depressed that Dan's not here, but that's all right. We'll get by without him.
Yeah, we can't say shut up, Dan, tonight. We miss out on it for a week. What's going on? How you going, Willie? We were talking off air. You're a bit crook. So, crook, sick. I'm going to just re-clarify that again. How are you doing, Willie?
I am laden with a cold at this moment in time. I seem to be over the worst of it, but it's not been a nice one. So,
yeah. I hope you feel better soon, mate. I think on Saturday we'll give you the ultimate medicine that you need. So that's why we named the pod the Previewing Celtic versus the Ghosts of Ibrox Past. Where we'll be talking quite a bit about the upcoming derby game. So until then, as Celtic Corner in the comments are saying, let's crack on and get onto it. So what I'll do is I'll start with you, Jared. Just give you a chance just for a quick little chat about the weekend's win over Hearts, and then Willie, you can do that as well, and then we'll get into the next couple of topics before we get to the derby stuff later in the show. So, what's your thoughts on the win against Hearts, Jared?
I thought it was pretty impressive. Like, we started off pretty slow, which was a little bit worrying. Started to find a rhythm. The second half was dominant, and probably the second half of the first half, I think we pretty much dominated possession. Like, we even had Shanklin to play in centre back at some point. He was coming back to get the ball because he was bored up front. One thing that sticks out to me, though, is we went up 2-0 while Hearts had more possession and they seemed to be doing better with the ball. Then we dominated for 3/4 of the game, but only scored in one penalty. I'm like, okay, well, how are we dominating so much, but not being able to convert? But while Hearts are actually, I wouldn't say they dominated, but they were probably just slightly in front of us, and we actually got two like fantastic goals by Kyogo, which is good. McGregor finally back on form. That's something we're kind of worried about. And people were saying, "Oh, bench him because he's carrying an injury and we need him for this upcoming game." So I'm really glad that he actually got to play. And same with Maeda came on. Didn't seem like he missed a beat. And one thing I did like was the fact that when we've done our 60-minute subs, as you always do, we're all like, okay, cool, subs are coming on. It's going to be McGregor coming off and Forrest. And it wasn't. McGregor and Forrest actually stayed on, and they took off Kun and Rio. And I was actually really happy about that because I was like, okay, cool. They must be fitter than we actually think. So they're getting a bit more game time, a bit more minutes in the legs. And that actually gives me a lot more confidence going into this weekend as well.
Yeah, let them build up their match fitness. It was good to see. So, Willie, what was your thoughts?
I thought it was a cracking game. I thought it was a cracking atmosphere start to finish. I thought we played extremely well for the 90 minutes, even in and out of possession. Like, Hearts had their chances, but we defended well as a unit. Like, we just soaked up whatever they threw at us. Joe Hart didn't really have that busy an afternoon, but when he was called upon, he was on point. So kudos to him for that. But for me, that midfield three, O'Reilly, Hatate, and McGregor, they were just like clockwork ticking along in the middle there, and it's just a joy to watch when they're padding along like that. Like, you know what I mean? So with Hatate in his vision, you can see what Kyogo's been missing from his game all season is that little bit of ingenuity, that little forward thinking that Hatate gives to the team. He just pings little balls in, he picks Kyogo out, you know what I mean? Those little runs he makes, he's picking them up. It's great, and it's like we're hitting form at the right time. So O'Reilly as well, flawless all day, and just that second, that assist he got for the second goal was just a thing of beauty. Like, great game of football, like, and just gives me great confidence coming into this weekend now.
Like. 100% there, Willie. As Andrew says in the comments here, if Kyogo is scoring, then we are playing well and creating chances, and that's what happened in the first half in particular. Created chances out of nothing, made it happen, so it was good. And then, as Patrick's saying, he has a massive 10 days ahead. Exactly, 10 days to basically win the league. So we could pretty much have it stitched up, ready to go by Saturday afternoon. But, we'll see how it all plays out. Just having a look here. What do we got? O'Reilly to Kyogo, RL77. Great goal, but Maeda's cheer as he came on was a highlight. Yeah, I wanted to mention it as well. It's funny how Maeda cops a bit of a hard time here and there, and then he's been out for a few things, and everyone's like, "Oh no, let's see how he's going and get back into it." And just the crowd was like super happy he was back. I think it kind of absence made the heart grow fonder, basically, with the effort and the thing he puts in. And as you said in our group chat, Willie, you sent through a wrestling meme with Maeda coming back and everything, and it was like just as the Undertaker sort of thing for the wrestling fans. Yeah, it was pretty funny. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one, and looking forward to that. So what we'll do before we get to there, we'll just go through a few of the headlines and other things that have happened recently. Now, I deliberately held off talking about this next topic on Monday because in the group chat, Jared and Dan were talking about it along with a few other guys, like Shane in particular as well, about Liam Scales signing a new contract at Celtic. So I wanted to take some of that conversation because there was some, if you can remember it, Jared, there were some good points that were said in the group chat, and I want to bring it on air here because I want to know: are you happy with him getting the new contract? First of all, because for me,
Yes.
I think he's earned that contract. But yeah, Jared, what's your thoughts? And Willie, the same for yourself. So start with you, Jared.
Right. So it's my mind hasn't changed since we discussed this weeks ago when we were like, should he get a new contract? Yes, he should get a new contract, but everyone is just panicking because they're thinking, oh no, his contract means he's starting next season. It's like, no, like when I said he should get a new contract, it wasn't for him to be solidified in that starting role next to CCV. Like we still need like another person probably to start next to CCV, like at that level of CCV. But he's still like a solid player. And him and Welsh, we've got them as like they're two solid backups, and he's only going to improve. I don't know if he's going to improve to like a level of CCV. I don't know if his ceiling is that high, but I mean, he's a good defender. He's not very good on the ball. That's something he'd probably work on. But yeah, like I definitely think it's a good signing for like centre back depth. And like we know he can play on the left. Let's hope he doesn't have to, because hopefully we're signing another good left back, so he never actually has to go out there. But he also gives that versatility.
Yep. So that actually ties in perfect with something. So we'll go to you, Willie, just off the back of this. But yeah, like what I had on the thing was, what do you think needs to be done to balance the centre back position in the off season, since we have a lot of centre backs under contract? And on top of that, I want to bring up this comment from Pete McGee where he's saying Scales is good on his backup, but we still need quality. That's my thoughts as well. And as Franny's saying here, it's okay with Scales getting the new contract, but we should still be looking for the next level up centre back. So that's what I think as well. But Willie, you happy you got the contract? And what do you think we need to do to settle the centre back position? Because currently we've got 6 or 7 centre backs under contract, but we still need to upgrade. I think we all agree on that. So what's your thoughts?
I think it's fairly obvious what needs to happen is that we need a left-sided centre back, first team starter that's going to come in and sort of play beside CCV. We need to offload Nawrocki and Lagerbielke and keep Scales and Welsh as our backup pairing. I have no problem with Scales getting a new contract. He came in as an emergency centre back this season, and he's sort of solidified his place there because, as I say, like Lagerbielke and Nawrocki haven't worked out. So he's shown that he can be called upon in an emergency and come up and do his job. So yeah, he's a good backup. But I think it's fairly obvious, like you need to get rid of 2 and bring another starter in to have your 4 there for next season.
So who's your 4 for next season, Willie? It's going to be Carter Vickers, hopefully someone else, right, that we sign. And then you're going to have Scales as a backup.
Yeah.
And
well,
are you keeping Welsh as the other one?
Yeah. I would, yeah. I don't think, I mean, Welsh just got a new contract this season too. And Rodgers obviously rates him, but he would be 4th choice, you know what I mean? It's not like he's going to be there every single week. If somebody gets injured, it'll be Scales that'll step up. So I have no problem with Welsh staying as a number 4 centre back. Like, I suppose you get rid of Kobayashi as well. Like, so they keep forgetting about him. Like, so you've 3 to go out, 1 to come in.
Yep, 100%. That's the thing. I was going to say Kobayashi, and then the other 2. We basically wasted 7 million in this off season at the start of the year, bringing in Lagerbielke and not Kobayashi. Mental blank now. Narovski, that's the one.
I think Narovski still has a chance to get that position. I mean, he was brought in to be a starter. Like, I don't think he will, but I'm not writing it off.
I
mean, if he has another off season, maybe he will. I'm not sure, but like what was I going to say? But like, I just saw a comment. It was like, "Oh, we've given them 4-year contract. That's not good planning for the future." I was like, "Well, it's not just because someone signs a 4, 5, 10-year contract doesn't mean, oh well, we've got them for 10 years. It just means we can sell them for more in 2 years." That's why, like, if you've seen like with like the Japanese guys and CCV and Matt O'Reilly, like they got 2 years into the contract and extended, because the more they extend, the more money we get when we sell them early. So just because we've got them for 4 years doesn't mean we're planning on keeping them for 4 years. But I know Scales has probably just upped his value for a bit. He's an awesome backup, and then we could sell him in another 2 years if we end up bringing in more people that are better.
It's the production.
Welsh. Sorry.
I can't really.
I was going to say Welsh. We knocked back a couple of million for Welsh at the start of this season. Was it last season for Welsh? Torino. So it could be something in that you're saying there, Jared.
Yep. So I'll go through some of the comments on this because there's a bit of an interesting balance here. So Pete McGee saying Scales is good, honest backup, but we need quality, which I said that. Then Patrick McLaughlin saying QPR boy is a left-footed centre back, and he was an under 21 for England. He goes, from what I've seen, he can pass the ball forward anyway. And then he's got the name Jake Clark Salter is his name. Apparently, we've been linked with him as well. So he's one that is a big left-sided centre back, ball player, fits what Rodgers wants to do. Now, Pete McGee's made a comment here. The best way to judge Scales is to ask yourself if he's a good option to start in the Champions League at centre back in the Champions League. Now, not just that, because Narovski was actually brought in before Scales was signed up, ready to come in before Starfelt was sold. So Narovski's job was to come in, and we were going to have Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Narovski, 3 quality centre backs for 2 spots. That was actually the plan at the start of the season. And then Narovski got hurt, Starfelt got sold. Then we scrambled, signed Lagerbielke, and then we brought in Nat Phillips. That didn't work, and Scales knocked him out of the squad, right? So going through all that, Scales, I wouldn't be scared to have Scales play a Champions League game if he's called upon. But if he was our starting pairing every week, whole nother story. What do you think on that, Willie?
I think that left side of defence is something that needs addressed. Greg Taylor's another one for me. Is a position that's in jeopardy in the close season, because teams have figured out if they just pump a long ball over between him and Scales, they might get a bit of joy down there, because Scales just can't handle the ball going over his head. He just gets lost. He just gets completely disorientated when he watches the ball disappear over there. And Greg Taylor's just he's not very good with the ball in there. So teams quite often throw long balls down there. So if you get a decent left-sided left back in there who can handle that sort of thing, Scales' game might come up a little bit better. But I wouldn't want him as my first team regular, to be honest. I mean, he did okay in the Champions League this year, but like I say, I would really like a left-sided centre back who's going to be first team ready.
Player in the Champions League game.
He got man of the match, right?
Yeah.
Man, the match in Champions League and a derby match.
But
which kind of throws a spanner in the works.
Yeah, but we've seen the deficiencies. We've seen that week in, week out. The deficiencies, the ball over the top, he just gets lost and disorientated. So for me, that's something that teams are targeting. And if teams are targeting something, and that gives them something to pick away at, you know what I mean? You just got to strengthen that straight away.
That's where he got caught out in the Champions League, and now teams are starting to bring that tactic into Scotland against us.
So that boy at QPR, what's his name? Jake something.
Jake.
He was when Rodgers was youth coach at Chelsea. I think that boy was in his team there. So Rodgers has obviously been keeping tabs on this boy throughout his career. Like.
Yeah, he'd be. I'm going to Google him now. But Jared, if you want to give us your thoughts on. So this next thing is, so who should be the next to get a new contract at Celtic? So apparently we're currently in talks with Daniel Kelly. We put an offer to him. He's knocked it back. He still wants to stay, but they're just haggling over the deal there. But Rodgers has also said that he'd like to extend Greg Taylor's next deal next. So should Greg Taylor get an extension? And should we be recruiting in front of him like we all do? What's your thoughts in that on who should be next and the left back situation?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I love how everyone's making a big deal of Kelly knocked back a contract extension. I was like, yeah, that's what negotiations are called. Why is that a news story? This is called negotiation. He's still in negotiation. He hasn't walked off. And yes, I do think Taylor should get another contract. The same way, I said, Scales should get another contract. Not to be starting. We should be getting someone in front of him. But are we going to get a better backup left back than Taylor? Someone who's proven, like, he's not been great, but he's part of the club. He feels a need for Champions League for that UEFA 8-player thing. Same with Welsh. Someone was like, oh, why would we want Welsh as a backup centre back? That's why, because he ticks off a box and gets as one of those homegrown players. So yeah, and that's why I would probably pick Welsh over Scales for going to the Champions League. Like, Scales did win man of the match, which is it's not an easy feat. But if you're saying would I pick him for the Champions League, probably not. But because he doesn't fill that quota, which I think they really look at as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this comment from Patrick saying, I think Taylor's been told to be second fiddle, and that's why he's hesitant to extend. I can understand that too. But at the end of the day, we also got some good young up-and-coming left-backs coming through. So if we go and buy, splurge a bit of cash and buy an actual proper starting Champions League level left-back and then bring through some of our youth guys as the backup, I could live with that as well. It'd be like the old days where we had Izagiri starting and we brought Tierney through behind him. So, yes, the Tierney Claxton has gone off and there's 63 of yous watching. So it's pretty funny that I had to point that out, numbers sort of thing. But, Willie, what do you think?
I think Scales would be a good backup. Not Scales. Taylor would be a good backup, but it's definitely an area that needs to be improved for me. It's been targeted, as I've already covered. Like we get targeted down that left side regularly, so it's probably the key area of defence that needs strengthened. Like.
Yep. So I've looked it up, and Jake Clark-Salter was at Chelsea in 2006, which would have been around the time Rodgers was in the youth academy there. And then he's 26 years old, and he's playing at QPR. He's also had loans at Coventry City, Bristol Rovers, Sunderland, Vitesse Arnhem, and 2 spells at Birmingham City. So he's what's he played all up about? Just looking at it here, probably about 120 odd games in however many years. So yeah, could be someone that could work for us.
He's also got a couple of big clubs looking at him as well, though. So I don't know if we'll be able to match prices.
Yep.
European football's a big thing for Celtic, so that's the carrot they can dangle. If you do well at Celtic in the Champions League, you might move to the next level, slightly above what else is on offer to you right now. So,
do you think that's still a strong? Because with the Champions League, if we win this season, we're in the Champions League next season. But with that now, because we're out of the top 10, we don't get automatic Champions League the season after. Do you think that would make a difference to new signings?
It might, but there's still the chance that you're going to put your name out there in the Europa League as well. So it's a reasonable standard. I mean, for the level of player we can afford and look at, it's going to be a youngster that's up and coming. And the chances of getting ready-made players that are ready for that level is pretty remote for us. So we have to take punts on guys like this guy at QPR who's 26, or you go for a 21-year-old from, say, Porto or Benfica and try and take them in and give them the platform to sort of prove themselves.
So I'm just going to go through some comments here. So we've got here Patrick McLaughlin saying, I see Tierney coming back and being game managed. Taylor will probably still get 25 appearances. Robert Gibson and says Taylor sits in a high chair when he has dinner. Andrew's saying it's got to be a big, powerful fullback to challenge Taylor. Pete McGee is saying the stark truth is that Greg Taylor is nowhere near as good as Kieran Tierney. So, yeah, it's a bit all over the place here. As Franny's saying, I can see Taylor moving to the English Championship in the summer, potentially as well.
I feel like everyone's kind of forgot about Mitchell Frame. Do you remember that kid that everyone was raving about when he came on in the Champions League and then got injured, and so everyone's just completely forgot about him?
That's who I was referring to before, where I said we go and buy a Champions League starting left back, and then we bring through the kid behind him. That's the player I was referring to. We got him, and then we also got Matt Anderson out on loan in Austria as well, who plays that position. So we've got two good young up-and-coming prospects who can battle it out to be the backup in that role and break into the team over time, which also
I think
helps
it's
Champions League quota.
I think it's bad that Mitchell Frame got injured, because I think he would have had a chance to at least show what he's got this season. Because I don't think he should start next season. But if he didn't get injured, he could have come off the bench every now and again, because we had no backups at left back. So if we were up, he could have come on and actually shown what he's got and actually develop and do something.
I'm just going to bring up a comment here from Andrew Galea as well. Going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but we need to look at players with Scottish ties for Champions League quota. Get Big Harry Suter from Leicester. Like, that's the sort of thing. He's a left-footed centre-back, left-sided centre-back. He's got the Scottish ties for all of that. It would tick the boxes, and it would be funny for Glasgow derbies when it's brother versus brother.
Harry Suter's a dirty big hand, though.
Yeah, but he has a big head.
He even looks like one.
We can get someone to chuck their head, anywhere to just clear everything. I think it'd be a combination. If you had him and Welsh next to each other, not a single ball would get to anyone in the box. They'd just be clearing everything away with the headers. So, yeah, just basically, at the end of the day, we're going to have to clear out the centre-back position, bring in a few guys, and go from there. So, next couple of things are going to be a bit of a chuckle, a bit of a laugh. So, we'll start off with this. Jens Lehmann. My exact quote on my notes for the pod is, Jens Lehmann can go eat a big bag of dicks. That's how I started my note. The reason for that is that he's about to trademark the term Invincibles in football because he was a member of Arsenal's 2003 team that did that in the EPL. Now, for me, all I have to say is pity that since then, in Scotland alone, Rangers and Falkirk have both done it in League One, gone invincible in the league. And Celtic obviously did it, including the cup competitions. So a better version of what Arsenal did for their Invincibles, because they didn't do it in the cup comps as well. So the way I look at it is, if he's going to go around saying anyone using the term Invincibles is infringing on our brand, referring to the Arsenal team, two things. One, you're not even Invincibles because you lost in the cup that season. And two, we really want to get petty. 1898, Kilmarnock was the first Invincibles in the British Isles. So eat a bag of them and jog on, Jens Lehmann. Now, Jared, do you want to add to this?
Well, in legal mumbo jumbo, I'm pretty sure he can't trademark that word because it's just a word and it's in sport. And there's other. It's the same with LeBron James tried to trademark Taco Tuesday because he done something on Tuesday, and they were like, no, you can't because it has a worldwide meaning, all this sort of stuff. So he can try and trademark that word, but you've even got the Disney movie with Mark Wahlberg, like Invincible. Like, it's used too much that you can't actually trademark a single word for something. So
case in point, over here in the AFL,
eat a bag of dicks.
Yep. So over here, they're they're launching a new AFL team in Tasmania in a couple of years called the Tasmanian Devils. And Warner Brothers have the trademark apparently for the Tasmanian Devil because of the TV shows and movies and stuff. So they claim that, but they were able to get around it because it's an actual animal and all this sort of stuff. So there's always a way around it. But you can't trademark a word that you're not the first one to use and you're not the last to use it. Is he going to go and sue every single club that uses it in Africa, in Asia, in South America, any domestic team playing? He could be playing 3rd Division State League here and go Invincibles. Is he going to sue that team for it? And to Smell the Gloves saying, what does Danny Invincible think of this? So, yeah. And then Smell the Gloves also saying, Leverkusen's about to join us as an Invincible treble winner. Exactly. So Jens Lehmann is a total wanker, as Robert's saying. And yeah. But Willie,
poor man's all down. That's it. That's all he was.
I'll give you the final say on this topic, Willie.
Oh, sorry, I jumped in there. I'm saying Jens Lehmann is a poor man's Oliver Kahn. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yep. Done. Happy days. Now for something to laugh at.
Is Dan coming on?
He's probably looking at dicks, let's be honest.
Right. Not even in the comments, not even come and say hi to his mates in the comment section. Shows what he thinks of us, huh?
Bloody rude, huh? Bloody rude. Shut up, Dan.
What if I show my dick?
He'll be on in a second.
We're here in a second. So William Hill taken over as league sponsors from Cinch at the end of this season. So apparently Cinch are walking away from their sponsorship agreement deal 2 years early due to the Rangers lawsuit situation. So what I find funny about this is that, and it was discussed in many a group chat and many a Facebook group and Twitter and the works, is Rangers was suing the league for having Cinch Premiership and refused to wear the badges and everything. How are they going to go when their shirt front sponsor is Unibet? And William Hill sponsorship is also a gambling company. Are they not going to wear anything with William Hill on it? Oh, this will be funny. Jared, I'll let you, as the comedian here, get on there and have a crack.
Oh, this is a story I've actually looked up, so I don't know anything about it. Who's William Hill? Like,
who's
this guy?
William Hill. It's my uncle. It's my cousin. It's my cousin William. There you go.
No, I just saw it today, and it's like William. The first thing I thought of isn't there a ban coming in about gambling companies sponsoring like sports and
apparently
sports teams?
EPL. The EPL.
Oh, is that only the EPL? Right. I thought it was everyone because I was like, oh, like, because we're screwed because what we got.
If they talk about booze and alcohol, you got booze and gambling. You've got booze on the back. You've got gambling on the front. Yep.
Yeah. No, like, how much was it for? Is it good or is it just, are we getting screwed over again?
Screwed over. 5 years, 10 million. So it's 2 million a year. It's absolute pittance.
Not 10 million a year for 5 years.
No.
2 million.
The Cinch deal was 1.4 million or 1.6 million. It's 1.4 in the first year and it scales up to 1.6 by the 5th year of that deal. Shit house.
Okay. Yeah,
I wonder, could you sweeten the deal for Rangers? Say, like, we'll let you have a wee William Hill in orange, so you've got William in orange on your badge. They'd love that. That would sell like hotcakes, wouldn't it?
Oh, or give them a discount to bet on Celtic so they can win some money.
Give them all the staunch.
They'd be so disappointed when they walk in and go to put their free bet on Tavernier scoring a penalty and say, sorry, we don't take bets on that. That's a foregone conclusion.
So, Smell the Glove, I just got to address something here, right? So, I've said before, it's my cousin, William Hill, and then you've gone Benny Hill's brother. How do you know that? That's actually his brother's name is Ben. So, bloody freakish, mate. Stop looking at my family tree. Good fun. Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how they carry on about that one. We'll watch this space. Celtic are being linked with transfer deal for Motherwell goalkeeper Liam Kelly. It's a former Rangers youth player who, according to the stats provided on the Celtic by Numbers podcast, is the worst goalkeeper in this season's Scottish Premier League. He's got to be if we're going to sign him, he's got to be coming in to replace Siegrist, not Hart, right? Got to be that. What do you reckon, Willie?
Oh, yeah.
There's an expression in New Zealand they use for situations like that, which goes, yeah, nah. Not
yeah, nah. Or nah, yeah. Which one?
Yeah, nah. That means no.
Yep.
If you're going to buy someone in Scotland as backup and let Siegrist go, that boy Mitov at St Johnson's where you should be putting your money on. I think he's a cracking keeper and he'd be a great backup. And if you can't get him, then there's that guy at Ross County, is it Laidlaw? Every time we play them, he pulls off wonder save after a wonder save, and it's the same when Rangers play them. So there's better keepers out there than Liam Kelly. I mean, one thing I noticed about Kelly this season is he has a white goalie top, and half the time when he goes in after 90 minutes, his top is still white, which shows you what he's kind of effort he puts in the game. Like, so it's a big no from me. Like,
so I was hoping you were going to bring this one up. I waited, but when we were talking about the UEFA allocation, I heard people go, "Oh, he will fill in a spot for the UEFA allocation, so that's good." I'm like, no, it's not, because that's what we got Bain for. Are we really going to take 25 players and go, "Hey, we're going to take 2 keepers to just sit on the bench just for the UEFA allocation"? When we were saying before, like we can grab someone else, like an outfielder that might actually do something and take up that allocation. Like, we can't. Bain's going to be our only goalkeeper in a couple of weeks, and he's just there to sit on the bench and be that UEFA allocation. We need a starter, and then we need like a prospect, and then Bain.
So Robert Gibson saying, replace Bain with a dustbin. Smell the Glove saying, rather sign Ned Kelly. That's one for the Aussies. Famous bushranger over here. And I've seen your comment, Franny. Don't worry. We should sign Izzo from the Bucks to replace Hart. So get Izzo from over here. That was early on in the podcast, and then 25 minutes later, bring in Izzo. So I can see your point. I would kind of be for that. So Patrick McLaughlin saying Grace Kelly would be better.
No, are Kelly fans?
God no. Don't. Well,
I'm just taking the piss.
Just wait for the secret Huns in the comments to start getting in, saying, "Oh, they're joking about bloody that stuff." Yeah, here we go. RL77, Kelly is happy to take a 5-year deal, 1,000 a week, and a heated driveway for his testimonial, a Lawbell special. It seems to me that way. Is not what we need. We need better. We need to raise the eyes and go, this is what we currently have. We're linked with, was it Likovic last off-season? If we're not targeting someone at that sort of level, we're also linked with I've got an article I've written down a list of basically, I've got about 12 goalkeepers that we've been linked with so far this season, and 9 of them are international level goalkeepers. So it's a hard no for me on him. Last thing before we get into the derby talk, Baltimore has been named Football Writers Manager of the Year. Willie, over to you, sir.
He's in the nomination. I mean, there's him, McInnes, Doherty, and John McGlynn, and the reasons they've given. John McGlynn had an invincible season. I better watch for copyright on that one, actually. Doherty getting Dundee in the top 6 for his debut season. Derek McInnes for securing Europa League football, and Flip-Flop for being in the frame to win a treble. I mean, we all know the Scottish media is heavily biased towards Rangers, but they're not even trying to hide it anymore. Like, you know, I mean, Flip-Flop in there, and they don't even nominate Rodgers, who's on the cusp of a double. Like, you know, I mean, not even mentioning that. It just makes a mockery of the award, if you ask me. Like, I mean, off that list, you look at it and think, well, McGlynn, he's already won the Manager of the Year amongst his peers. Like, so an invincible season, no matter what level you do it, is a fair old achievement. Like, there's not many people will do that. Doherty, yeah, it's a great achievement, but I don't know. just shows how heavily leaning towards Rangers the Scottish media is. Like.
Well, before Jared gets involved in here, as Patrick's saying, Football Writers says it all. Scottish mainstream media, basically, isn't it? And then we've got Hun Media, and then Voldemort's a shoe-in, in Brown Bro shoes. Yeah, so Andrew Galea, before going back to the goalkeeper thing, was get the boy Gauchi on loan from Villa. Should have just signed him in the first place. But Jared, over to you.
Look, I would say, nominate him for. He took over a crap team and brought them back. So nominate him, but then he went to crap. So, if he had kept the team in an upward trajectory after that Beale crap at the start of the season, if he had kept them going, yeah, fine. But then they've just absolutely went to crap, and he hasn't played. He hasn't coached the whole season. So I don't know why he's been nominated over some of the other guys that were nominated for the other awards. It doesn't make any sense. His team's gone to crap. They're fighting with each other. It's not even a team at the moment. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah, apparently there's punch-ons in their locker room and all that good stuff. But as Patrick's saying here, funny thing is if we beat them twice in these games coming up, he's going to have a worse derby record than Beale.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show you, but the Celtic fans are turning away from Scottish mainstream media and droves now, and they're turning to sort of fan media now because they get they get a better view of what's happening through that. Like Scottish mainstream media is just like, we love Rangers. The only thing you can see is our toenails sticking out their arse. It's just, I don't even bother with it, a lot of it anymore. Like.
Why do you think there's so many Celtic bloggers, so many Celtic podcasts, so many Celtic YouTube channels? There's
too many Celtic YouTube channels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. So guilty party's making that joke for those in the know. But yeah, it's
they short ones are the worst.
Ones, these ones where it's one guy sitting on his own with his mic not working and a bald head in it, talking to a camera on his own. Yeah,
and his weird mate Stevie outside the ground.
You watched?
No, me.
It's good fun. So now we're just stirring it up a little bit here, but yeah, it's I think everyone knows where it is, so we just get on with it. And yeah, the media, I don't even pay too much attention. Anything I do is I scan over the media, the headlines and stuff to go, okay, what do we got for talking points for the pod? That's pretty much anything. I don't actually believe too much of what they say. So I know as RL77 saying, it's amazing how much of the Scottish mainstream media support Ayr, St Mirren or Motherwell. Yep. So, yeah, it's time to get into the derby talk. So, Willie, how you feeling leading into the derby on Saturday? You cook. How you feeling about the game?
Relaxed, very relaxed. And usually I'm the biggest worrywart when it comes to this game. No matter how much better than we are or what position the game is got, like who's on form and who's not on form, I usually worry no matter what. Right now, I feel like really relaxed, and I don't know, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? But watching the way we played against Hearts last week, the result against Dundee on a bobbly pitch, we just show them that we can go out and win. Their form is pretty poor. It's pretty patchy, and yeah, I'm feeling pretty relaxed and pretty confident about this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar, Willie. For me, it's like I just look at it and go, I'm not overly confident in terms of I'm not going around saying, yeah, we're going to win, we're going to do them 5-0 or whatever. I'm expecting to win, but I don't think it's them that is going to dictate the outcome of the game. It's going to be what Celtic turn up. Whenever they've come to Celtic Park with no away fans, they haven't really played that well. So if you look at that as a historical thing, and then you look at the way we've played recently, and then especially against Hearts, as a dress rehearsal for this game. If we come out with the right attitude and execute and play to our quality that we're capable of, they don't lay a glove on us. They don't have the same standard of player, the same ability. But it's all going to come down to us, our motivation levels and our work ethic, and being the team, making that extra. If there's a loose ball there to be won, going and winning it. Don't wait back like we did at the last game at Ibrox. Go and get it. Be aggressive. So, Jared, what's your thoughts? How are you feeling?
I was feeling a little bit like before the game we just played against Hearts. I was more worried about Hearts than I was about Rangers, just because of how we went against them before. How it was a big game, and just the way that we played in that game just gave me so much confidence. Then we saw O'Reilly step up. He became that leader. The last couple of weeks, O'Reilly is the one that's given me the most amount of confidence. Like, you just see all of it. He's doing a lot of interviews and he's saying all the right things, and he's just so calm and relaxed. But it's not just words, because then he goes on the field, takes a penalty, scores, and then just turns around and goes, "Yep, all right, let's keep going." And then you look at the other team, because I watched their game, which was an amazing first half, and Silva scores, and he points to the back of his jersey, and then tells his own his own fans to shut up, and it's like, you took 52 minutes to score a goal against Kilmarnock with 10 players, and you're pointing to your own name, and you've done fuck all, and telling your fans to shut up. I'm like, okay. I looked at that, and it just reminded me of the Matt O'Reilly incident. Scores a penalty, doesn't care. I'm like, okay, so the mentality of both teams is just like, we just seem like this is us. We're all together. We're heading in this direction. We're ready to play this game. And they just look so
on edge is probably the way to look at it.
Yeah, they're on edge. They're calling out crap like that. "Oh, we're there to have fun" comment. Like, he didn't hear that comment. That was in another interview. A journalist brought that up to him and said, "Did you hear that this person said this?" And he was like, "Oh." And then he went another pod or whatever it was and brought it up himself. And I was like, okay, so now Rodgers is in your head without even him doing anything. It's the media is now putting him in your head, and now it's like, the mentality game. It feels like we've got them uncomfortable, and so I hope I don't jinx it, because this is the most comfortable I've felt going into a derby game, and I blame Matt O'Reilly. But if you had asked me before, like last week, I'd be like, okay, I think we might get a 1-0 win or 2-1 because they'll get a penalty. But right now, and I'm sorry, Pat or whoever it was said he doesn't like overconfidence or whatever. I think we can win 4-0.
Going early with that one,
You went early with the score prediction.
See that confidence thing, like that confidence is running through the fans right now. You know what I mean? And so long as it doesn't filter down onto the players and they get too cocky on the pitch, but I think we will dispatch them too. But as I said last week, Rodgers is meticulous when it comes to planning for big games and making sure players know the roles, where they need to be and when they need to be there, and telling them and drilling it into them. And he will be sitting there on the training pitch this week telling them, look, they can still hurt you. You cannot get too cocky with this, because these boys can still hurt you. You've seen it. They've scored goals against you. He'll be telling them they are a dangerous team and they might be able to score against you. But as long as we stick to our game plan and do our thing, then we will win. And I'm pretty certain that overconfidence, there is overconfidence in the fans, because at this moment in time, Rangers are cracking at the seams and creaking at the seams, and there's cracks appearing all over the place in that team. But I'm pretty sure that will be filtered out as it goes to the player level, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's some comments going on here. So the referee appointed for the game was Willie Collum. So it was like, who's the ref? Who's on VAR? So as RL77, Prince Wilhelm Collum is the ref, and the VAR ref is Stephen McLean. So, Jared, what do you have any concerns about Willie Collum as the referee?
I don't give a crap about referees. Like, we're going to go out and we're going to play our game and we're going to win. And like that's all there is to it. Right? The referees can't change the game that much when we're going to do our job. We're not the ones that are frustrated. Like, they'll probably be sliding into tackles or whatever. I think our players are going to be calm, collected, give the referees like not like the referees are going to be looking for things to do us for, but they're going to give the referees very little to give away.
Yep. And Willie, what about your namesake Willie as the ref?
Willie Collum is just a disaster referee. It doesn't matter who he's refereeing, whether it's Celtic or Rangers. Neither fan base like him. Like, you know what I mean? Neither fan base want him refereeing their games. We just have to get on with it. We stick to our game plan. The referee won't matter. Like Stephen McLean, that his brother used to play for Rangers, I think. So he's on VAR. So nah. Stick to the game plan, and we should be able to see this game out. Like,
yeah,
I just hope it's refereed. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how many people tuned in and watched that the Rangers game against Kilmarnock, but that first 20 minutes, half of it was VAR breaks. Like, we can't have this crap when this is an important game. Celtic versus Rangers. This is where people who don't watch the rest of the league tune in to watch. This needs to be a spectacle. It needs to actually be a good game that people will watch. And hey, then maybe we might get more than $2 million a year from a freaking sponsor. But we're not. If people are going to tune in to watch the biggest game and it's an absolute shit show because VAR keeps stopping it every freaking 2 minutes, then just referee the game.
Let the players play and get on with it. Yeah, because the reason I asked about the Willie Collum thing is I know that some of us have got some concerns, but the Huns are melting down over it on the Twitter and everything when you say that on their podcasts and the likes, because when you look at it, since they said that to the league, they don't want Willie Collum to referee them in the league, he's only refereed them once in a cup game since then, and not at all in the league. And I think it was the 20-minute Tims on one of their pods. I think it was them. They were saying that this is it for Willie Collum. If he comes in and refs it down the middle and does well, he'll prove that he can referee these games. But if Rangers don't want him refereeing their games, and then he comes in and absolutely cooks this derby and it's just hopeless, then he's going to be stuck for the rest of his career doing Killian St Johnstone and St Mirren games. So this is his last chance at the big time in Scotland because of the pressure that the Huns have put on the league over him as well. So he's got to have a good game. So it's going to be interesting. So smell the glove. As long as Willie is 50-50 with his fish decisions, it'll do me. VAR's the worry. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a interesting one. So next question for you, boys, will be, what matchups do we need to watch out for, and where will the game be won? Willie is busy there, so I'll go to you first. Jared, where do you think the game will be won?
I think we're going to have them on the back foot for most of the game. So I think it's going to be like our attacking midfield and forwards, not letting them in our half. Once they get into our half, they're going to start playing for fouls and they're going to start playing for penalties. And we've seen in the last game, they got penalty scored. Game before that, free kick outside the box. Tav scores. Like, we need to try and keep it in their half and keep them under pressure. And I think if we can do that for most of the game, then I think we'll be pretty successful. Like, they've got so many injuries. I think they're down to the last two centre backs. The right back, I don't know who's going to start, but if it's Ridvan, he's coming back from injury, been out for freaking ages. Barisic, I think he played his last game, and that's why he was getting so much crap. I think they're going to play Sterling at left back. If that's just my opinion, I haven't seen anything about that, but that's what I would do if I was Rangers. And Tavernier is just terrible at defending. So I think our Kyogo, our wingers, and our attacking, like Rio and O'Reilly, I think just putting them under pressure continuously, I think that's what we need to do, and I think that's how we're going to win the game.
On that, for me, I look at it and go, it's going to be about if we can turn their midfield, defensive midfield and their centre-backs around and make them, uneasy and get slightly out of position, then we're going to be fine. Because the thing is, the midfield battle is always massive in these derbies, right? And Patrick said that as well in the comments. So I'll take credit with that. So it's always massive in the midfield. But the thing that's going to come into it for me is that are we going to, and the Hearts game was a massive example of it. If we can make quick decisions and get Kyogo flying through the line and time those crosses into him well and, raise our eyes and look around rather than just recycle, be incisive with the ball and be aggressive with the ball, we will create enough chances. If we have Hatate in the midfield and O'Reilly in the form that they were in on the weekend, they should run riot. There's been talk in the media about potentially having Sterling not play at left back, but play him in the midfield, man marking Callum McGregor wherever he goes on the field. That's
because he's the only good player.
Yeah. So if they do that, they're taking that away from their team for defensive purposes, and that suits us even more. So it'll be a bit of an interesting one.
I actually think they'll play Sterling on left wing. I think Seema's going to be missing on the right wing. Sorry, they got a lot of joy against Greg Taylor when they started. They took Seema on in the second half. That first half at Ibrox, they couldn't lay a glove on us. They couldn't get near us because we just played through them. We played through their lines with ease. And if that was without Callum McGregor, that was with Tomoki Iwata playing. Now we have Callum McGregor back playing full flight, in full form. You know what I mean? And you've got Hatate and O'Reilly. Like I said earlier on, that midfield is just ticking over like clockwork. And we will, if they play the way they played against Hearts, we'll be able to pass through their lines, no bother. But with the Sterling, I can see them playing Sterling out on the against Greg Taylor, because that was the big thing in Ibrox, is that they took Seema on and it gave them an out ball. They didn't have anywhere to pass it. We were at Ibrox, we ended up giving them the ball because they were just fucking up with it the whole time and giving it back to us, transitioning all over the place. So I could see them playing Sterling out there against Taylor.
That ties in, Willie, to a couple of the comments here. So Smell the Glove saying the only Hunt I worry about is Seema against Taylor, but apparently in training but not fit enough to start. And
I heard he's out for the season.
He's away back at Brighton.
Yeah, Seema's out for the season, according to Rangers podcasts.
And then Andrew Galea was Maeda will cause multiple turnovers in the defensive third. And then Mahesh ties into what you were saying, Willie, when we kept giving it away in the midfield. The Rangers mids won possession by over 20% against Celtic mids last time, so Celtic needs to turn that around. So that ties into it. If we can get that midfield battle, it's going to stir it right up. So, and as Jerry's saying, if we have the same attitude about it the weekend, we'll win it, no problem. So it's going to be an interesting one. Where will the game, I just said that, where will the game be won? Obviously on the pitch. I'm waiting for someone in the comments to have said that. No one picked up the chance to just put a dad joke in there. Where are you, Liam? Why haven't you tuned in? Dan would have said it, I reckon, if he was on the pod.
I've said it once before, and I don't say jokes twice.
Fair enough. So was that a joke or what?
That's freaking fact.
So what I'll do is I'll bring up some comments, then we'll go predicted starting lineups and scoring. So, and our score predictions. Jared's already gone early on his. Andrew Galea saying Maeda and Forrest to score. RL77's only worry is the officials. Andrew saying 2-1 win and they'll get a penalty. Dermot McCulloch is saying we're at home, full squad available, 60k fans. The place will be jumping. They must win and can't afford any mistakes. We will win. RL77, I hope the kit man has drilled tactics into him. Stephen Ray, same starting lineup with Maeda and Palmer. and Ida to come on for the last 20, 30 minutes. Rangers have been dangerous towards the end of these games. For us, we need Mader's energy later, not earlier. Dominic Toy, his players will do it, but I'm worried about the officials. Franny's saying, my prediction is a win, any win, but I would love for us to batter them. And then what else do we have here? Yeah, we've got Patrick's lineup is Hart, AJ, CCV, Scales, Taylor, Kelmeko, Rolly, Hatade, Kun, Kyogo, and Maeda. Kun Forrest is his only question mark. So, Willie, what would your starting lineup be? And give us your score prediction.
Starting lineup for me is Hart, Johnson, CCV, Scales, Taylor, midfield 3, Kalama, O'Reilly, Hitati, Maeda on the left, Kyogo up front, and put your fingers in your ears, Gerard, Forrest on the right.
You heard what's your starting lineup?
All right, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that we've got the back four and the goalkeeper in the midfield the same.
The same for
So
all
up
of us.
front, so up front, I'm going to go with Maeda, Kyogo, and Forrest. I think Forrest should start over Kun. If Maeda is fit. Okay, so here's my scenario. If Maeda is fit and can last the game, Maeda starts and plays on the left because we need him to go against Tavernier. Forrest should start. He is the informed player. He is the best player in Scotland in the last several weeks. And I think bringing Kun on for Forrest is only going to do us so much better in the second half. Kun will come in. He will bring energy, but also, if you saw the last time we played Rangers, we took Kun off and put Yang on, and Yang didn't come back, and Matondo scored. Kun doesn't do that. Kun will come on in the second half with energy. He tracks back, and he doesn't let that person go until he's passed it off to Johnson. So he won't let that sort of crap happen. But I think Forrest can bring us more in the first half, as long as Maeda's fit. If Maeda's not fit, I would start Kun, because then you've got an option for Forrest to go left or right. But ideally, Maeda, Forrest, Kun coming off the bench.
Yeah. I agree with what you're saying there, Jared, because that's what I would have done as well. Sorry there, Willie, I'll come back to you in a second. The thing as well with Kun coming on later is he gives us that same sort of sub. If they've got someone playing at a position at left back, and then we've got a fresh guy coming on for the last 25, 30 minutes, the same way, what was it, Seema did last time against us, Kun can be that player against them and put the work in and just run them over. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. But what were you going to say, Willie?
For me, the concern would be sort of if Maeda and Forrest can only get 60 minutes out, you take Kun on, but who's going to go on the left? Is it going to be Palmer? And what sort of possession are you going to sort of surrender there in that position? Because Palmer isn't the greatest at tracking back. And say they have to bring Yang on at some point, or I don't know.
No.
You know what I mean? Yang, I can't see Yang getting anywhere near the squad, to be honest with you. But that fragility sort of creeps in when you take the first two out of there. Like Gerard's giving a good account there. Couldn't come in on the right, but the left, if Maeda tires after 50 minutes rather than getting to 70 minutes or 80-minute mark before he tires, then you would say, right, hang on a second here. There's a chink. But hopefully the game will be out of sight by that point.
By that point, Willie, I'm hoping we're 3 or 4 up and we can go to a 3-5-2 and just clog the midfield still, overrun them there, get the defense settled, and go 2 up top with Kyogo and Ida. I think that would work if that's the situation. I would not be going anywhere near. Yang does not hit the field on the weekend, and Palmer, if we can avoid it, yeah. However, he's a shithouser. He would be good for the last 5 minutes or whatever in stoppage time to just wind the clock down, go to the corner, and muck around with it. I think he'd be good for that, but that's about it. And
I don't even know if I'd use all of our subs. Like, I would probably bring on Kun. I'd probably bring on Ida, because he brings a lot of energy up front, and and against their crappy, freaking tired centre backs, and I'd probably bring on Bernardo, and that would be that's the only subs I would make.
Their centre back pairing, that's one we need to try and get at straight away. I mean, it's going to be the boy, what's his name, Ben Davis. He hasn't played for months. You know what I mean? His in-game fitness or match sharpness isn't going to be there. Hopefully, and hopefully we can get in behind them and expose them. Like,
perfect, fair matchup then. Ben Davis versus O. Put him in a cage. Only one exits. There you go. I'd back O.
I'll be phoning William Hill to see if I can get a free bet on that one.
So, score prediction. Jared, you said, what was it, 4-0 before? Who are your goal scorers?
Oh, I'm going to go with Kyogo, Matt O'Reilly, Hatate, and then Kyogo again.
And Willie, did you say your score prediction before or not?
I didn't. No, I'm trying to get away with that. I
don't like and scores.
I'll say 3-1. Kyogo, Maeda, and Ida. With a Tavernier penalty.
I think we're going to win by 2. I don't know what the final score is going to be. If it's 3-1 or if it's 4-2. That's what I'm leaning towards. They're going to score, but we're going to win by 2. And Kyogo's going to score 2 for us. And Ida's going to score at least 1. So that's the way I'm sitting. But I think we're going to win by 2 goals because they have to win. So they're going to, late in the game, if they're a goal behind, they're going to throw numbers at us and we're going to hit them the other way. So that's why it's going to be a 2-goal margin. I think up until about the 75th, 80th minute sort of mark, it's going to be a goal in it. And then they're going to throw people forward and we'll hit them on the counter and we'll get it out to that 2-goal margin.
That's why I've got 4, because I think they're going to bring it out to try and attack and leave those 2 dimwits in the backfield.
If we can get an early goal, it could go that way. Like, yeah,
fair point. So yeah, that's where we sit on the derby. Hope everyone enjoys the game. Get out there, support the boys. I'll be down at the Melbourne number 1 CSC, the Turf Bar. So if you're in Melbourne and you're looking for a place to watch the game, first come, first serve. Doors open at 8 o'clock. If you want to be in there, come say g'day. Other than that, I think we'll go to our final thoughts and then call it a night. So, Willie, do you have a final thought?
Fuck this cold, like.
Cool. That's his final thought. Jared, do you got a final thought?
Yes, I have one. I want to shout out one of the employees at the Celtic store, Aidan McCulloch. I don't know if anyone knows him, but I ordered this jersey and this shirt, and my phone autocorrected my suburb to the suburb I used to live in, and so it wasn't getting delivered. This was several weeks ago, and Aidan kept at the courier and kept on messaging me like every week for like 4 weeks, and actually got my address updated, and it arrived 2 days ago. So thank you, Aidan McCulloch, because I wouldn't have done that if I was working at a Celtic shop. But I got my shit. Thank you very much.
And for me, everyone, enjoy your Saturday. It will be a full-on night and night for us over here. But stay safe if you're around people of a blue persuasion, and smell the glove. It's not the Jock Steens there. So I'm going to, it's the Melbourne number 1. Jock Steens at a different pub. Oh, another final shout out. Okay. Geelong CSC is having their first ever game that they're putting on here in Victoria over here. And so shout out to them as well. Hope they get a good turnout. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hail, hail. And we'll see you on Monday on the Pot Noodle. Hopefully celebrating another fantastic derby win. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Snow, snow.